And so I'm going to be reacting to the PS5 Pro sort of like technical presentation by Mark Cerny. I'm going to like wait till the end to give my full opinion, but I'm already going to say that $700 is way too much, especially when you consider that the PS5 like Slim came out almost 4 years ago, and the discless version was $400. The PS5 Pro it doesn't have a disk drive, so it's $300 more. That's a huge leap, and I think that's too much. But let's get into this. So I'm going to try this out.
Hi, I'm Mark Cerny. I'm excited to be here to talk about the newest addition to our console lineup, PlayStation 5 Pro, and how it advances gaming technology. But first, I want to take just a minute to look at what we put in the original PlayStation 5.
He says, they're trying to add like advance. What did he say? Something about
into our console lineup, PlayStation 5 Pro, and how it advances gaming technology.
Advances gaming technology. But the thing is, they don't seem to be advancing all that much. They just seem to be, let's just make it more powerful for seemingly no reason. In my honest opinion, I feel like the standard should be 4K 60 FPS and then go from there. Like, I know that they're trying to push, like, they're trying to hit 60, like, they're trying to wipe, sort of like clear out the whole performance versus fidelity thing for the original PS5. But it's like, you should have done that from the beginning. You should have made the console more powerful from the beginning. In my honest opinion, I hate mid-gen consoles because I just feel like the launch console should have just been that. I feel like it should have. I feel like the PS5 original should have just had more RAM. It should have been going for 4K 60 FPS instead of like just this high quality, like hyper realistic gameplay thing. I know that that's what Sony is known for, but they need to sort of like expand into other things because Nintendo is destroying them with a console that is like a 20th of the power of the PS5 Pro. So like they need to understand that graphics are cool, having a powerful console is cool. It's not completely pointless. Like it doesn't completely matter. You want to be able to run all games on it, but they need to get more creative with it other than just sticking a $500 VR headset onto the console. I think that they need more than that, but let's continue.
But first, I want to take just a minute to look at what we put in the original PlayStation 5 and how it delivers an exceptional gaming experience. When PS5 debuted in 2020, it brought a lot to the table. 8 Zen 2 CPU cores form the brains of PlayStation 5 and enable high-speed complex gameplay, with character counts reaching into the hundreds.
About that?
And frame rates that can be as high as 120 frames a second. PS5 has a powerful RDNA 2 GPU, which can render anything from intricate details to fantastic worlds with vast panoramas to explore. Ray tracing allows for dramatic visual improvements, including reflections off of what.
And that's another thing. Ray tracing, not that big of a deal. It's not. You can do reflections and other things without ray tracing. It makes it look slightly prettier, but the power to make ray tracing happen is way too much. I just think it's it takes so much processing power, so much GPU power to make ray tracing work, especially at 60 FPS. So it's not that big of a deal. It's not, in my opinion. I feel like they need to, and I'll wait till the end for that.
Butter or glass, and the realism that comes from real-time global illumination. A custom SSD can load data at breathtaking speed,
and the
resulting in
from
ultra-fast transitions between game worlds
Rift Apart. That's what
and
it was.
Data streaming rates so high that traversal speeds are essentially unlimited.
That right there is impressive. Spider-Man 2 and Miles Morales really good because you can just travel the entire city very easily. It runs very smoothly. And that's the kind of stuff that you want. You don't need all these reflections and high detail stuff. I want a game that is fun, 4K 60 FPS. and looks pretty good. But a lot of indie games don't need ray tracing stuff like that to look good. And I'm not bashing them for like trying to push this graphical thing, but graphics aren't everything. So if your game looks amazing but it's not fun, there's no point in buying it. So no one's gonna buy it. And then your like game tanks, your console tanks, and then like and then they start like charging a ton of money for things. They start like having like 12 live service games, in the works at the same time, even though people only will play 2 live service games max at any given time. So it's like this doesn't make sense. And Concord was like apparently the first one of those 12, and it completely flopped. So that's not great. It's not.
I'm working on it!
Tempest 3D audio tech brings an unparalleled sense of immersion to the sound of the games. With audio so real, you may not even need to see the animation.
I never bought the PlayStation headphones. I never bought them. If anyone can tell me if they're good or not, I'd really appreciate it. If you could comment down below if you bought one and if they're good, if they're worth the price, or if you think they should be cheaper, or if are they good, or they like bang for your buck type of thing. Let me know.
To know exactly where they are. Finally, the DualSense controller has haptics that let you feel through your hands what your character is experiencing inside of the game. It's wonderful to see such
Wait, I missed that part.
DualSense controller has where they
it's just the controller.
You feel through your hands what your character is experiencing inside of the game.
Oh, it has like the haptics feedback, which is more like specific and like detailed. Like that's not the word to describe it. It's more accurate. The like the haptics, like the vibrating, and like it also has like the sensor in it, so you can like move it around and it can like tell. Like Astrobot had that. The launch game, not the new one.
It's wonderful to see such variety and richness of game experiences. Creators have made amazing use of the hardware capabilities, but when I talk to them,
Also, the console looks very bland. I know they have like the side plate thing, and those are way too expensive. They're like, I think they're all like $70. And I think they're $60, but the black ones are 50. I don't know why, but it's just kind of boring. They had like the Spider-Man 2 one with like it was red, but it had the Venom like the symbiote crawling across the bottom, and but that was limited edition and they're sold out. They should make just better plates. Like I get what they're doing. They're like instead of just bringing out a brand new console, like you have to you have to buy. You want this really cool looking console, but it's like not the version you want. So like the original 360, no, the original Xbox One had some versions like I think like Halo or Gears of War that they had like the model design was exclusive to that, but if you had a One X, it didn't work with that. Like it didn't come in Xbox One X. So like instead of having like specific consoles that you need to buy if you want that design, you just pop off the side plate and like swap them out for a different one. You can mix and match. You can do whatever you want. You can like draw on them. You can paint them. You can airspray them. It's like that's cool. They're way too expensive, but maybe if you put some of your games on them instead of like like a very like basic logo, then maybe people would buy more of them. Also, they're still not worth the price either way.
Do hear about their desire for more graphics performance. The dreams of the developers are bigger than can be supported at 60 frames per second, and that leads to an aspect of modern gaming that we're all familiar with: graphics modes. It can be a difficult choice for players. Fidelity modes emphasize the visuals, typically through higher resolution rendering. These modes might also have enhanced detail or use more ray tracing. But the games only run at 30 frames per second. The visuals can be choppier, and the
It's I never understood fidelity mode. I don't understand that. It's like, yeah, it looks prettier, but it runs like garbage. It's choppy and ugly looking. If you're cool with 30 FPS, good for you. I'd rather just have it at 60. And again, I feel like this should have been just the launch version. They should have just went with that from the beginning. Like, I know it's expensive, and there's also something else I want to talk about.
Controls less responsive. Performance modes emphasize frame rate and interactivity. typically choosing to run 60 frames per second.
That's another thing. I'm pretty sure your reaction time, like your input, is better. Your input, like delay, is better at 60 FPS. I'm pretty sure it is. So that's another problem. It's like if you want that, fine. I just wish they would like just focus on just having 4K 60 FPS from the beginning, from out of the gate, so we don't have to worry about this kind of stuff. We don't have to worry about swapping modes. That's another thing. People are always complaining about this kind of stuff, and it's like if they just did it right the first time, if they just made a better console at launch, then it would be better. And that applies to Nintendo too, because the Switch is awful. The indies were carrying the Switch up until the pandemic and Animal Crossing hit. Like that, like it was carrying the Switch until then. There were a few like hits like Breath of the Wild, but outside of that, it's like the indies have been carrying them. And honestly, Sony and Xbox need to get in on the whole indie craze, because the indies are taking over. There's so many of them. I actually stream them. I actually stream myself playing a bunch of indie games. But plug. But there's a lot of them. There's so many. They're flooding Steam and itch.io. They're everywhere. So I would highly recommend that people get in on that. That like everyone get in on that. There's a reason why Steam has been supporting indies for at least a decade. They've been promoting them with all their sales and like events and just pointing them out for people to buy. Because it's like, if they're succeeding on our platform, then we're succeeding because it's our platform. And Xbox used to be all about the indies with their Summer of Arcade, but then they just kind of stopped. And like Sony has always kind of like been about it. Like the PS4 was like an indie machine, but then Sony just seemed to like not really be that big on indies anymore. Like the state of plays are meant to be for like the third parties, including the indies. Just put more indies in there. You know how like Nintendo has like when they do like those like the indie world stuff, and they just have like they show like 5-second clips of a bunch of indie games. Do that, like Sony do that. That's a really good idea, and I think they genuinely should do that. I think it's a good idea. Nintendo's doing it; they're doing great. Xbox's events are pretty lacking because they're mostly just focusing on the games that they own, like the IPs that they own.
Mainly by reducing the graphical detail until those frame rates can be achieved.
It's really hard to see.
When asked to decide on a mode, players are choosing performance about 3/4 of the time. Removing that decision, or at least narrowing that divide, is one of the key targets for PlayStation 5 Pro.
Okay, that is actually a good point.
The graphics that the game creators aspire.
That's a good point, that we don't have to choose between fidelity and performance mode, but it'll just run well and hopefully 60 FPS. It's not worth $700, but also that's actually really weird. I don't know if I said this before, but like the PS4, the discless PS4, PS5, losing my train of thought, the discless PS5 was $400, and that was 4 years ago. Even if inflation is a thing, does this really need to be $700? It doesn't have a disk drive. You have to buy the disk drive separate. And it's like, I don't know that much about it, but I do know that the PS4 discs are dual layered Blu-rays, and the PS5 discs are quad layers. And, some more space for your game to be on the disc, even though a lot of people don't do that anymore. People need to start doing that. Like the PS5 discs have like 50 gigs. Just put the game on the goddamn disc. But the thing is, if the PS6 comes out and they're doing like quinta-layered Blu-ray discs, and this disc reader can't read them, then it's completely worthless. Not completely, but like you can't use it on your PS6. The problem with it, like I can see the benefit of a portable disc drive because you just plug it in and it works. And like something I used to do as a kid is that like we would just like one friend would get all the Xbox consoles, I would get the PlayStation consoles, and then we would just put them in our backpacks and just walk to each other's houses and just play our games there. And it's like if you both have like a PS5 Pro or whatever, and one of you buys a disk drive, you don't need to buy another one. You can just unplug it. They can just show up to your house and you just hand it to them. That seems actually pretty cool. But like, if they don't future proof it for like the next console, it's gonna be kind of a pain in the ass. That's kind of a nitpick. But like, I think it's a good idea. Like, I think having a portable disk drive is fine as long as it works and then like reads it fast and like just basically gets you to where you need to be. I think that is the important part.
At the high frame rates the players typically prefer. To do that, PS5 Pro substantially improves over PlayStation 5 in 3 ways. Here's what we call the Big 3. First, we made the GPU much larger and increased the speed of the memory.
Miyamoto's just like, it's just big me. That's a terrible joke.
Uses. The result is rendering that's up to 45% faster. Second, we made major upgrades to the ray tracing, taking a streamlined and accelerated approach that allows calculation of the rays at double or even triple the speeds of PlayStation 5. And finally, we added custom hardware for machine learning and an AI library called PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution, or PSSR for short. PSSR analyzes the game images pixel by pixel and can add an extraordinary amount of detail.
This is actually something that I've heard about. I think NVIDIA is doing this too. And I think that's what Nintendo is planning for their next console. So they're using AI to sort of like to upscale it so it's not actually running at that big resolution like 4K or 8K. So it's not, you don't need all of that GPU power to go towards 8K. It'll use this AI to just upscale it to make it look like it's 8K. So it'll pop up as 8K on your screen, but it's actually running at a lower resolution and they're just kind of like blowing it up, but they're trying to make it like, they're using the AI to make it like lossless. There's probably going to be some losses and some lost like pixels. And it's probably going to look like crap and it's probably not going to run well, but when it first starts out, but I mean, that is a big deal.
Which boosts the effective resolution of the games. Game creators are adding PS5 Pro support to new and existing titles, and with the Big 3 involved, the results can be pretty amazing, with graphics showing something like fidelity levels of detail, but at double the frame rate. Here's The Last of Us Part 2 running on PS5 Pro. It has huge amounts.
Remember what I said about making games good?
Of detail and targets a super smooth 60 frames per second. Let's compare this to the fidelity mode on PS5, which is only running at 30 frames per second and is therefore much choppier.
Don't stop! We gotta lose.
This goal
Is that The Last of Us 2 or is that the Last of Us 2 remake? Like part 2, the redo? Is that what that is? I'm not sure.
of delivering almost fidelity-like graphics at performance frame rates has been achieved for a broad set of titles, including Marvel's Spider-Man 2 and Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. We can see that PS5 Pro is close to doubling the
Okay,
power
I
of
can see
PlayStation
this.
5. Another way to compare the two consoles is to look at PS5 Pro versus Performance mode on PS5, both of which target 60 frames per second.
This is going to be unnecessary.
What we see here is a difference in detail. PS5 Pro is much sharper and crisper than PS5.
No, I can actually see it. Wait, I can actually see that.
PS5 Pro is much sharper and crisper.
You see, like, let's see if you can see this part right here. It's like a bit more sharper in detail than over here. Like, look at like right here. That's like right here, and you can see it a bit clearer. It's a bit like I can see that. Like, and down here it's a bit sharper too. These leaves right here, it's mostly the leaves. Like they're blurry over here, sharper over here. You can see the detail like right here. You can't see it over here. You can see inside here. You can't see inside right there. So, and that's pretty cool. I hope my mic picked all that up because I was kind of leaning in. But yeah, I just pointed to all of it. I hope Mike caught that. But down here, like down here, this is like, that's actually pretty decent.
For this, my favorite is the parade scene from Ratchet & Clank. distant details
See if I
are
can see
much
this.
clearer.
Okay, I can see it. Like the whole actually the whole thing is like blurry over here. Jesus Christ. Like the whole thing. Wow. Okay.
And here we can see Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is noticeably higher
It's kind of hard to tell.
resolution throughout the scene.
It kind of helped. It kind of helped if there was actual traffic over here. Oh well, you can tell in the trees. Tree blurry, not blurry. Okay, this is
Including
pretty
the
decent.
trees and procedural cars. So overall, some remarkable improvement to the games. On PS5 Pro, we can see increased sharpness to the graphics or smoother and more responsive gameplay. This is the big three showing their value. As you've been seeing, machine learning via the PSSR library is being used quite broadly to add pixel detail and boost frame rate. But there are as many approaches as there are game engines. The increase in raw GPU power is being especially effective for Horizon Forbidden West. Apart from the detail boost, that extra graphics power is allowing for improvements to lighting and visual effects, as well as
This game looks actually really nice. This is Forbidden West. This it looks really nice. I never played it because it looks boring.
as
Actually,
well as to the hair.
I actually own which one? I forget what the first one is called. Zero Dawn. I actually own it. I just haven't played it. Oops.
And the skin in cinematics.
Open up, guys. Dwarf's orders.
Good enough for me.
Ray tracing is finding broad usage as well, particularly when the games are focused on higher frame rates. The faster hardware in PS5 Pro can make a real difference. Allowing Gran Turismo 7 to add ray-traced reflections between the cars in gameplay, while continuing to support their
Look at that ray tracing. Look at all of that ray tracing. It's such a big deal. Ray tracing is such a big deal. You can see your car in the other car. I can see myself in it. That's so cool. That's worth $700.
targeted 60 frames per second. That boost in ray tracing is also delivering
is again.
big wins for Hogwarts Legacy,
Oh,
allowing not only for better reflections and a greater variety of reflective surfaces, but also for further realism in the casting of
this game good? I've never played it. Is this game good? Because I might actually pick it up because I was kind of into Harry Potter. Like I thought it was like kind of cool. And it was like I kind of fell off after like I think Order of the Phoenix. I think that was the last one that I like read and watched. Because then they just started doing like the Half Blood Prince thing. I was bored out of my mind with that one. I'm not like a snob about it. I don't know. I guess I just fell out of it. But I don't know. I don't care about the whole like debate over this game. I really don't give a shit.
shadows. I hope you've enjoyed this run-through of the technology behind PlayStation 5 Pro. Simply put, it's the most powerful console we've ever built, and a worthy addition to the PS5 family. Let me wrap this up by giving you a quick look at a number of games running on the new console.
You'll never break a legend. 'Cause they don't know we are. We legendary.
Don't let me hang it.
I'm actually gonna skip this part because if I get claimed for this, I'm just gonna cut it out. Also, this is just like a reel, so it doesn't matter. Actually, I think the video is it should just be over right there. Oh yeah, it's gonna show the price. So I'll just leave it on that.
PlayStation.
There it is. Okay, $700. I think I covered that already. Disk drive makes it like 800. So it's $300 more expensive than the discless PS5 original, and it doesn't seem to be worth the price. 4 years later, I know inflation, all that stuff doesn't seem to be worth it. I get that they're trying to hit this 4K 60 FPS. I get that. Again, feel like you should do that from the beginning, especially since the PlayStation 4 was the leading console of that generation. Like they were going up against the fucking Wii U and the Xbox One. Like the Wii U just like completely died, and like Xbox shot themselves in the foot with the always online DRM. So Sony absolutely dominated last gen, and it's like I feel like they should just be doing more than this. I feel like they should. I feel like every time any of these console owners get ahead, they just fuck it up. Like just completely fuck it up. Like the 360 was good, and then the Xbox One happened. The what I just said. And then the Wii happened, and the Wii U. And I hope Nintendo doesn't fall into that trap again. I really hope they don't. Because like the N64 did really well, then the GameCube did, then the Wii did really well, and then the Wii U didn't. And like if for like PlayStation, the PlayStation 2 did really well, best selling console of all time. And then the PS3 didn't do well. And then the PS4 did really well. And now the PS5 doesn't seem to be doing that well. At least we're not getting the yellow light of death. At least we're not getting that. Great job. That's a plus of buying your console. It actually fucking works. And you don't have to fucking reball it just for it to function. Oh, man. I still want the backwards compatibility. Just fucking add it. Just add just 1 through 3. Actually, I had an idea about that. That was actually one of the like the random thoughts that I had. It's like, what if you just had like they remade the PS3 and they were able to transfer over all of like the games on the PS3 store to this new PS3 that like runs better. And then if you want PS1, 2, and 3 games, you buy that console. And if you want the newer stuff for like PS4, PS5, and like, and maybe like when PS6 when it comes out, you just buy the PS6. There you go, just like a dual console ecosystem instead of trying to cram everything into one console for for like a higher price. Just get 2 separate consoles for stuff. Basically, the PS6 for everyone, and if you want the older stuff, you buy the other console. I don't know what you call it, but yeah, the PlayStation Trinity, the PS Triple. What did people used to say back in the day? Like gay station and sex box. What did they call the Wii? I'm sure they just put a D at the end. All right, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Got anything to say? I asked a few questions. If you guys could answer them, I'd really like to know what you guys think. But thank you for watching. Have a nice day.